tarde, mundo. It's a new day here in Portugal, and you might be thinking to yourself, why on earth is this dude taking a hammer and a spanner to his car after it's just been to a Mazda dealer? And I could ask exactly the same question. After we got it back from having the timing belt changed and all the servicing done, for some reason, they've had to take off the wheels. And when they've put them back on, the brakes on the driver's side have been jammed on, so much so that it was smoking and stinking the world out every time I drove the car. Now, I could drive all the way back to Mazda, which wouldn't be a good idea anyway, with a frozen brake, and say, sort this out because you've done it wrong. But because I know what to do, I'm just fixing it myself. Sasha and I always have this conversation. Whenever you take your car to a mechanic to have something done that needs to be done by a mechanic, it will always come back with something else wrong with it that you need to sort out. And this is why I think everybody in the world, boy or girl, man or woman, should have a little bit of knowledge about what they use every day. A car is such an important tool in your life. And if you don't know anything about maintenance, you're always going to be back and forth to dealers and mechanics. And they're going to do one thing, mess something else up. You should know a little bit about cars. This brake pad right here was jammed on in this angle like that because this pin clip here hadn't been put on properly. Something as simple as that not being in place could completely ruin your car. You can already see these discs are getting a bit mashed up, something I'm going to have to sort out. In the spirit of not being too negative anymore, I know we've had some negative times with my dad dying very recently. I'm trying to make some changes. I'm trying to be more positive in the vlogs, just looking forward to the future, trying to enjoy life again, because we can't wallow in sorrow all the time. We need to get moving, otherwise nothing ever moves forward. That's the car sorted. There are some other things we need to mention on the vlog. There are some other changes that have happened. Just the other day we were talking passionately about our journey back to the UK, but unfortunately we went to the vet yesterday to sort out Eden's jabs, and she missed her rabies jab by a few days, so that means that we can no longer drive back to the UK. With that said, I am going to fly back to the UK for my dad's funeral for one day, and then we're going to come back and do that journey another time. It's our only option right now because there's nowhere to leave Eden. We don't know anybody who's going to be willing to look after Eden for over 3 weeks. That's the time we wanted to spend there. And to be honest, I don't want to be away from Eden for that long. So we are going to do the funeral with just me. And then later, when we come up with some ceremony for scattering my dad's ashes, we'll all go back together with Story and Eden, Sasha, and do that. So it is a little bit of a shame that nothing worked out the way we wanted it to, but it's another change that needed to be dealt with. Close that in there. Both of us spent most of yesterday very annoyed at the whole Eden situation, but what can you do? We can't change that now. So looking forward and looking at the positive side, Eden's rabies jab and all of her annual vaccinations came to a total of €31.50. So that is so much cheaper than what we would have paid to have the same thing done in the UK. So that's one positive part. The vet treatments here are very reasonable. How much would it have cost in England to do that?
I think after Thailand, when we took it to the vet, I think it was about 80 quid.
So that's a massive change.
Jobs.
Yeah, how's Story doing? How are you doing there?
Don't distract her.
Oh, sorry. She does this now, isn't it?
She gets easily distracted.
Yeah, she looks around at things and she pops the bottle out of her mouth. How's your hair growth?
Aww.
Where's all your hair going? You were very good at the vet, weren't you? He said that you were very, very strong looking for a 12-year-old dog, didn't he? Yes, I was quite pleased with the way he looked at me. He said that my legs were strong, my body was strong, but my teeth were horrible. Oh boy. You trying to decipher the instructions?
Yeah, I'm going to have to translate it.
So, what are you doing?
Well, I used to have highlights a lot before we moved to Thailand. And then I was too scared to go to a hairdresser in Thailand. So they just grew out. And it's something I've been thinking about for a while. And I was planning on getting them done again back in England when I eventually got back. But it's so expensive. So I just thought I would give it a go and try and do it myself.
I'm pretty sure it won't be too hard to work it out.
Just to be a bit lighter and a bit more summery, because it just feels, I mean, the ends of my hair is from where it's been in the sun and stuff, so it's a lot lighter than the top. and I just feel a bit drab. So I'm going to have a little lighten up and see how it turns out. Although knowing our luck recently, it might go green or something. Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Okay, so I've translated all the instructions into English, written it down there so you won't get panicky halfway through the procedure. But first things first, you want me to cut it, right?
Yeah.
Homemade husband cut.
Yeah.
Is this wise?
Yeah, because it's just a straight cut across the bottom.
And I'm pretty good at this stuff, aren't I?
Yeah. I always remember I paid to go to a hairdresser in Thailand, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go just for a cut, not for highlights or anything. And I was in there for literally 30 seconds. And I was just like, what, that's it? And she was like, yeah, it's done. 200 baht, please. I was like, what?
It's only £4 though.
She didn't even use a clip or anything. She just went right like that across the bottom. And I was like, well, I could have done that.
Well, that's what I'll do then.
So that is what we're going to do now.
What do you think about all this baby story? You don't care. You've just got your little crispy. You love crispy, don't you? This is what you have to do when you've done multiple trips to England by plane and you've just spent €1,000 on a car repair that you didn't expect.
You need to buy your daughter a pram.
Yes, oh yes, yeah, buying a pram.
And I was going to get my hair trimmed when I was back in England, but I feel like I'm never going to be back in England, so I cannot wait any longer.
I know, why does this keep happening? Right, we have the hairdressing chair set up. Baby Story's down there, by the way, resting. Okay, I've been instructed exactly how much to cut off. About that much. That's the instructions, let's do it. This is stage 1. That's how much I cut off. Quite a lot actually. Oh no, you sad I'm cutting off Mummy's hair? Are you? You get to witness the whole thing. How's the front check?
I don't really know what I'm doing, but hairdressers always do this. They pull it to the front and like do that.
How's it looking then?
It feels even.
Okay. Okay, final stage. How did we do? Did I do terribly?
No.
Is that the right amount?
I'll try it and then we can see properly.
Okay. For the record, this is probably the best view from a salon ever. The home salon on the farm. Nice. Right, now we're getting on to the colouring stage.
I'm scared.
Oh, it'll be
I might
fine.
have to buy a hat.
No. Alright, well, we'll see you after all this is done because this could take a while.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Alright, so this is the final result. You're going to have to ignore that Story's crying. It's what she does when she goes to bed. So it's a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more even.
Yeah, it's even to the dark patches.
Yeah, it's not like a dramatic transformation, but...
No, but if you look at the before and after pictures right next to each other,
yeah.
you can see mostly the changes from the cut. But yeah, I think out in the sun, it might look a bit more even. You happy with it?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't get a disaster, did you?
No, still, if my hair hasn't fallen out, it's not green or purple or anything, so that's a bonus.
Let's have a look at this silly baby, see what she's up to. Is that what you wanted, Baby Story? You wanted a little rocking?
Okay, it took Story a little longer to go to sleep tonight. Normally she's fast asleep within 10 minutes of putting her down, but tonight it took 25. I think her gums were hurting her quite a bit tonight. She's asleep now, so I'm going to get on with Jay and I's dinner. We are having the classic bean dish tonight. So the other week I said I was going to share this recipe, so here it is. This is 3 whole carrots grated, and about 4 or 5 cloves of garlic, depending on how much you like garlic. And the beans, because it is a 3-bean chilli, you can basically use any beans you like, but we've got a whole can of black beans, half a can of white beans, which is basically like baked beans without the tomato sauce, and half a can of chickpeas as well. And that is basically the bulk of the chilli. And then for the sauce, it is a jar of tomato paste, like passata. You use the whole jar, and then I fill it up again halfway with water and add that in as well. And for the spices, I add in a teaspoon of cinnamon, a whole teaspoon of paprika, 2 teaspoons of cumin, and 2 teaspoons of chili powder. And again, with the spices, you can adapt it to your own taste, so you can add in more or less chili or omit the cinnamon completely, but I think it really adds something to it. That's my little addition. And extra cumin I've also put in as well, so you can just play with the spice level and add in different flavours of what you want. And also, of course, we add in salt and black pepper as well, but I don't tend to measure that. I just do it as I'm going along, tasting and seeing if it needs more or less salt and pepper as I go. So that's also important to put that in. You can also add in an onion if you want, but I don't generally. I just use the garlic. But it is really adaptable and versatile, so you can pretty much, you know, play with it, add what beans you want, add what spices you want, and it all just cooks up in one pan. So I always cook the garlic and chilli a little bit first before I add in the tomato and beans, just so they're not raw, because once the beans go in, it really doesn't take long to cook at all. You just need to heat it all through. So once you've added the tomatoes, the water and the spices and your seasoning, you can then add the beans. And that is it. You just let it all simmer for a bit to heat it all through. And then I'm going to add in a couple of handfuls of spinach right at the end. And that's that. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, always. One thing I like about these vegan plant-based dishes is you can pretty much eat them raw. So you wouldn't get sick if you didn't cook it all the way through. You're just warming it. It's good, that.
It is very true. And also the beans that I'm using are all pre-cooked canned beans, so you don't really need to cook them at all. You could eat them straight out the tin if you wanted to. And here it is. We are just putting some raw spinach and rocket leaves with it, just for some extra greeny goodness. And whenever I make this, it always makes enough for about 4 or 5 servings. So we've got another whole bowl of it for tomorrow's dinner as well. And it is a really quick meal, so from start to finish it's about half an hour to make the entire thing. Quicker than ordering a takeaway, which is amazing. And today we're having it with brown rice. Sometimes we don't bother with the rice, we just have it with extra leaves, or you can have it with couscous or potatoes or anything really. It's really, really nice whatever way. And like I said earlier, you can change this meal up and, you know, adapt it to however you want it.
I've put this into a pie before with phyllo pastry and it works quite well.
Yeah, that was quite nice too. So we're going to go and enjoy this delicious meal that I've just cooked while it's still hot. So that is it for today's vlog. Please hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Is that dinner for me? Eden, you've got your dinner over there. No, but I want your dinner. Gonna have your dinner. No, this is all ours. Alright? Why aren't you eating your food? I will. Later.